it's my turn now to get up and talk my piece. To be honest, I'm pretty scared right now. Scared from the possibility of all your thoughts after I deliver my stage advice. I guess now's a better time than any to actually introduce myself to everybody instead of hiding some school corridor. Before I begin, I want to discuss my past, the present, and let's try and dabble in the future. During my past, I was a cherub of a kid. Short, bit chubby, straight up immature. Seems like me. I grew up in a small town in Massachusetts called Westboro that was plagued by torrential blizzards every now and then. It made my life a nightmare when I had to shovel the walkway in front of your house. I mean, I can't remember a time when I had to dig up to get out of my house. But all of that doesn't really matter now as I live in a tropical wonderland and gets magically visited by something called hurricanes. With snow days, at least we missed school and got to go outside most of the time. I'm pretty sure on a hurricane day, you're not going to be seeing any children or people playing in the sand. Well, that's my introduction to the North. Let me tell you what it was like to attend school and grow up there. Miserable. I was absolutely miserable. I was a short, scrawny kid that ghosted up and down the halls, got picked on just by about everybody, and was just straight up ignored. Nobody. Have you ever felt so alone before? I managed to get through it, but my academic field suffered. You see, I've been what some people would refer to be as depressed for the past 6 years of my life. I don't feel comfortable calling it that though, because I don't think that's what it really is. Unsatisfied. That's a better word I would use. But now that I look at it, the feeling began back in Massachusetts. Everyone kind of looks down on you when you were small, but when you were my size, it's easy to look over. My grades were average. No matter how hard I tried, no one seemed to care or help. Besides my frustrations, my dad greatly exhibited his by letting me know constantly that I will regret the outcome of my minimal efforts in the future. Thanks, Dad. Sometimes I wish I could go back in time and punch myself in the face. Now, pick myself back up and tell me, do your homework. Just do it. Ever since leaving Massachusetts, I still feel like I left a part of me back there. I'm in a way, I still feel like I'm suffering from this loneliness. When I moved here to Florida, I was not surprised by the temperature, but by how nice everybody was. One day before school started, my first year here, my 14th birthday, stared at myself in the mirror and forced myself to constantly smile until it stuck and became my polar opposite. Teasing, joking, and the epitome of happiness would be my parents. But it didn't change me. I remember the disappointment in my father's face when I had to repeat 8th grade. 9th grade and 10th grade was also disappointing. I remember hitting rock bottom in 10th grade. My dad calling me over, sadness on his face, telling me that I might have to leave St. Stephen's. He offered me a deal that would change me. If I raised my GPA and paid for next year's tuition, he'll let me stay. In the meantime, I visited other schools like BCS, and honestly, I just accepted it. I felt like I deserved it for my failure of being a worthless son. But I decided not to give up. Having taken my broken pride and self-esteem, and with the help of some good friends and teachers, I raised my grades and managed to stay in school. When I became a junior, I was so unsatisfied with myself that I sometimes felt that it would be better if it just disappeared. The problem now is that I became so tall. It isn't hard to spot me out of the crowd. But what I didn't realize is that I had a guiding light. Someone who supported me more than anyone had ever had besides my loving parents and my caring sister. Someone who turned off my stormy little rain cloud and brought out the sun. Mr. Nelly. Without you, I would have sank deeper into the abyss of my own misery. Because of you, stuck with me and kept me going, I can succeed. You were like a father to me, making sure I managed to work the right way, saying stuff like, "What the hell is this?" Or, "I know you can do better if you put your mind to it." Words cannot express my thank you for making me sure that I managed to work the right way, when it seemed like I was certain I was on a sinking ship that was held to hope. I remember the first time I met you. It was at home with my sister Nicole and her friends doing the AP US History review. I remember climbing up the chair and listening to what you guys were going over. Thankfully, I remembered Mr. Moran's teachings for U.S. history class and actually answered more questions than the U.S. kids did. All the while you were looking at me, staring across me at the table, saying, "Who might you be?" Mr. Nelly, we will always be friends. Heck, family is the closest I can get to. We may not always agree on NFL football teams, but I know that we can get past that, even though the Patriots are better. I am beginning to grow up now, looking at the bigger pictures, and for the first time in my life, I can see an end to this long, dark tunnel. I didn't make a lot of friends on this journey, but those who I do hang out with at lunch and talk to after school, those are the best moments here. Moments where I could be me. No one else, just me. I want everyone here to treat me the same as they always do. I don't want sympathy, I just want you to listen. The next time I try and shrug off something important or act like it's not a big deal, it is. I'm just too embarrassed and proud about it. So now I stand before you a senior. To beat the odds that were stacked up against me, to be honest, I doubted I'd even get here. Hell, I even thought colleges would want me. But I assure you that I have changed. And please, heed my few points of advice. Freshmen and sophomores, do your homework. Make those years your good ones. Please. Juniors, if you're struggling, never forget that there's always a sunny day. Because when there's rain, there may sometimes be a rainbow. Follow that rainbow, keep fighting, and never give up. And